Tonight's adult bedtime history is all about the sewing needle, a soft, soothing journey through its quiet history. Before we begin, a brief note for your safety. Please do not listen to this wander through history while driving or operating machinery. Only listen when you're somewhere you can relax safely and completely. As night settles in, our bodies often feel ready for rest, long before our minds agree. Thoughts drift in fragments of conversations, worries about the future, tomorrow's to-do lists, a persistent hum that can make sleep feel just out of reach. Right now, though, there is nothing you need to solve, nowhere you need to be. Your only task is to rest. And since the mind rarely likes to be truly empty, tonight we'll give it something soft to hold on to, a slow, unhurried journey through the history of something small, often overlooked, yet surprisingly rich with stories stitched quietly into everyday life. Settle in, get comfortable. Acknowledge the security of the bed or sofa gently supporting you and anchoring you to this safe space. And let's begin to think about the sewing needle. The story begins long before written history, in a world shaped by cold winds, shifting seasons, and the quiet determination of early humans. Long before villages or farms, people depended on their ability to protect themselves from the elements, and the earliest needles emerged as small tools of survival. Crafted from bone or ivory, they were shaped with patient hands, each stroke smoothing the surface until it could pierce animal hides. These first needles were simple, yet they carried the promise of warmth, shelter, and the beginnings of human ingenuity. As communities grew, so did the skill of their makers. Needles carved from antler or bone became more refined, with tiny drilled eyes that allowed sinew or plant fibers to pass through. These early tools were treasured objects, often carried from place to place as families migrated. Each needle represented hours of careful shaping, and the garments they helped create offered protection against harsh winters. In these small polished tools, we see the beginnings of craftsmanship, evidence that humans were not only surviving, but learning to shape their world with intention and care. Over time, the needle became more than a tool. It became a symbol of skill, patience, and the quiet rhythm of daily life. In early settlements, those who could sew well were valued members of their communities, able to repair hides, create fitted clothing, and stitch together shelters. The act of sewing itself became a meditative practice, a steady movement of hand and thread. The needle passing through fabric carries echoes of those ancient rhythms, connecting us to countless generations who relied on this humble tool. The discovery of metal changed the needle forever. As early metal workers learned to smelt copper, bronze, and later iron, they began shaping needles that were stronger, finer, and more durable. These metal needles allowed for more delicate stitching, opening the door to fitted garments and decorative embroidery. The transition from bone to metal marked a quiet revolution in daily life. Clothing became more expressive, more tailored, and more personal. With each improvement in metalworking, the needle evolved, becoming a tool of both necessity and creativity. As trade routes expanded, needles traveled with merchants, artisans, and explorers. Along the Silk Road, they were exchanged alongside fabrics, dyes, and stories. Different cultures developed their own styles of needlework, from the intricate embroidery of Persia to the delicate silk stitching of China. Needles became part of a shared human language, one that crossed deserts, mountains, and seas. Through these exchanges, the needle helped shape global traditions, connecting distant communities through the quiet art of stitching. In medieval Europe, the needle became central to daily life. Tailors, embroiderers, and household workers relied on them constantly, and needle-making itself became a respected craft. Skilled artisans shaped wire into fine points, hammered eyes into place, and polished each needle until it gleamed. Clothing grew more complex, with layered garments, decorative stitching, and embroidered symbols of identity. In quiet workshops lit by candles, the needle became a bridge between practicality and artistry, shaping the garments that defined entire eras. The Industrial Revolution transformed needle-making from a slow craft into a precise, mechanized process. Factories produced thousands of identical needles, each perfectly shaped and polished. This new consistency allowed sewing to become faster and more reliable, supporting the rise of ready-made clothing. Yet even as machines took over production, the needle itself remained unchanged in essence, a slender tool guiding thread through fabric. Its simplicity endured even as the world around it accelerated. The invention of the sewing machine introduced a new kind of needle, one designed to move at incredible speed. These machine needles had to be strong, precise, and perfectly shaped to avoid breaking under pressure. Their arrival transformed clothing production, making garments more affordable and accessible. Yet the hand needle never disappeared. It remained in homes, tucked into sewing boxes and mending kits, ready for quiet repairs and personal touches. Two kinds of needles, one ancient and one modern, working side by side. Across cultures, the needle found its way into myths, legends, and symbolic traditions. It represented patience, precision, and the power to mend what was torn. In some stories, needles were magical tools, capable of stitching together worlds or guiding heroes home. In others, they were tokens of love, used to create garments for family and friends. These stories remind us that the needle is more than a tool. It is a companion in the human journey, woven into our shared imagination. In the modern world, needles come in countless shapes and sizes, from delicate beading needles to sturdy upholstery tools. They support fashion, medicine, crafts, and countless quiet hobbies. Yet despite all the changes, the essence of the needle remains the same. It is a tool of connection, joining pieces, repairing damage, and creating something new from simple materials. As you drift toward sleep, imagine the long journey of this tiny tool, carried across millennia by human hands, linking past and present with a single, steady thread. As sewing became part of daily life, households developed their own small traditions around the needle. Some families kept a single treasured needle for generations, passing it down with stories of garments it had helped create. Others stored their needles in handmade cases, stitched with care and decorated with symbols of protection or good fortune. These quiet rituals gave the needle a place not just in work, but in memory. Even the simple act of threading a needle became a moment of stillness, a pause in the rhythm of the day that connected people to those who had sewn before them. As explorers set out across oceans and continents, needles traveled with them as essential tools. Sailors relied on sturdy needles to repair sails torn by storms, while settlers used them to mend clothing worn thin by long journeys. In remote places, a single needle could mean the difference between comfort and hardship. These small tools became quiet companions on expeditions, tucked into pockets and packs. They were reminders that even in unfamiliar landscapes, the simple act of stitching could restore a sense of home. Across the world, needlework became a way for communities to express identity. Patterns stitched into clothing told stories of ancestry, region, and belief. In some cultures, young people learn specific stitches as rites of passage, each movement of the needle carrying meaning. These traditions turn the needle into a tool of storytelling, preserving history in thread and fabric. Even today, traditional garments hold echoes of these ancient practices, each stitch a quiet reminder of the hands that shaped it. As techniques evolved, embroidery became an art form in its own right. Needles were crafted thinner and sharper, allowing artists to create delicate patterns that resembled paintings. Royal courts commissioned elaborate works, from embroidered tapestries to ornate clothing. These creations required immense patience, with thousands of tiny stitches forming scenes of nature, mythology, and daily life. The needle became a brush, and thread became paint, transforming fabric into a canvas of quiet beauty. Beyond clothing and craft, the needle found a place in healing. Early surgical needles were used to close wounds, helping the body recover more safely. Over centuries, medical needles became more refined, supporting procedures that saved countless lives. Though very different from sewing needles, they share the same principle, bringing edges together so they can mend. This connection between craft and care shows how a simple idea can evolve into something profoundly important. Writers and storytellers often use the needle as a symbol of fate, patience, or transformation. In some tales, a magical needle stitched garments that granted protection. In others, a needle guided lost travelers or mended broken bonds. These stories reveal how deeply the needle is woven into human imagination. It represents the quiet power of small actions, tiny stitches that, over time, create something strong and lasting. In the modern era, needle production spans the globe. Factories use precise machinery to shape steel wire into perfectly consistent tools. Each needle is polished, tested, and packaged for use in homes, studios, and workshops. Despite the scale of production, the needle remains humble, small, simple, and essential. It is a reminder that even in a world of advanced technology, some tools endure because they are already perfectly designed. In the hands of skilled designers, the needle becomes a tool of imagination. Haute couture garments are often stitched by hand, each seam shaped with care. These pieces can take hundreds of hours to complete, with artisans guiding needles through delicate fabrics like silk and lace. The result is clothing that feels almost alive, shaped by the quiet dedication of those who sew. The needle becomes a bridge between vision and reality, transforming ideas into wearable art. In homes around the world, the needle continues to play a simple but meaningful role. A loose button, a torn seam, a frayed hem. These small repairs bring a sense of satisfaction. The act of mending slows the pace of life, offering a moment of calm focus. Each stitch is a reminder that not everything needs replacing. Some things can be restored with patience and care. The needle becomes a quiet companion in the practice of making things last. As the story of the needle reaches the present, its journey stretches across tens of thousands of years, from bone tools shaped beside ancient fires to the precision steel needles of today. It has remained a constant presence in human life. It has sheltered us, adorned us, healed us, and connected us. As you drift toward rest, imagine this tiny tool traveling through time, carried by countless hands, each stitch a quiet act of creation. The needle's story is, in many ways, our own. Thank you for spending this quiet moment with me. If you'd like more bedtime stories like this, then please subscribe. And if there's a topic you'd love to hear as you drift off, let me know in the comments and I will endeavor to create it.